favorite, throw on a fresh pot because Queens of the Stone Age are finally cooking for the first time in 6 years. That's right, a brand new 10-track album is on the way June 16th. It's called In Times New Roman. There's a brand new single called Emotion Sickness, and if you like that pun, there's a whole lot more stuffed into the track list, which makes me a very happy man. What can I say? I'm the pun master. I love puns. I love Queens of the Stone Age. It's a match made in heaven, and in this video, I'm gonna break down some thoughts on their new single Emotion Sickness, along with talking about all of the leaks, the speculation, and rumors swirling around their new album. 3 things very quickly right out of the gate. 1, if you could do me a huge favor, hit the like button on this video and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. Number 2, a massive shout out to the Queens of the Stone Age subreddit for keeping me in the loop with all of the leaks and rumors and everything the past few weeks. And number 3, to briefly address the elephant in the room with Josh Homme's personal life. I don't want to get into that here. He put out a statement recently really talking about everything, and all I really want to say is that I hope his kids are okay. Now that the air is clear, it's time to hop on board the hype train with this new single, Emotion Sickness, really being something worth getting stoked over. Depending on who you ask, you'll get vastly different answers as far as what emotion sickness reminds them of in the world of Queens. But for me personally, if I'm throwing my hat in that ring, I would say it's kind of a cross between the 2007 album Era Vulgaris, with some of the mic distortion and the chord progressions, the way that the song moves, particularly in the chorus, a cross between that and the 10 years later album Villains, the swagger of that record. And even though it did move with a bit more of a pop aura, I really appreciated that record for what it is. And Queens of the Stone Age definitely don't have a bad album to their name. It's just that some of the mixes on Villains maybe got a little bit overly crowded, and I really appreciate that this track lets itself breathe. My interpretation of the lyrics is that Josh Homme is talking a bit about his divorce and the separation, the bitterness, the falling out there, but this song seems to be framed from the perspective of being with someone that basically physically makes you ill over time. You don't realize that you have this contagion, it's inside you, it consumes you, takes you over, and then it's thrown away once the fever finally breaks. Think of it like a spell being lifted, and then in the hook you get the baby don't care for me. It's so catchy, it just almost feels like time to break out the dancing shoes, like that's the way I felt with the way you used to do, but it's a little bit more on the rock side for sure. The guitars on this track have much more of a striking presence, they're much more immediately immersive, and I like the fact that although the verses do leave that breathing room, once we get to the chorus, we're all in, and by the bridge of the track, once those drums are really pounding away, I really feel like we get to the heart and soul of the tune. Josh Homme's vocals are definitely buried a little bit more on this track in the mix, and that alongside the mic distortion, I could see some people having issues. Personally, it didn't stand out to me as a negative. In fact, it reminded me of how I felt about the comeback single from My Chemical Romance, The Foundations of Decay. Some people hated it, and I was not one of those people. As the song goes on, it evolves and adds in more of this wailing guitar in the background. I'm reminded of some classic rock mannerisms paired up with some vintage Queens of the Stone Age-isms. All I'm saying is be prepared to have that head bopping and the foot tapping, and even if it doesn't hit you on first listen, hang in there, because within a few, you're gonna be singing along. As far as the album itself, In Times New Roman goes, I love the name of it first and foremost. I think that's kind of a clever title, and obviously with the puns and the track listing, I was almost convinced it was leaks at first, but now that we have the Apple Music and pre-order confirmation, it's exciting because I really feel that there is some fun within the bitterness. Look at the names of these 10 songs. Obscenery, Paper Machete, Negative Space, Time and Place, Made to Parade. These are going to be very fun titles at the very least, even if the subject matter is much darker, which is definitely what I'm hoping for. They say the tortured artist makes better music, and while I hate to see Josh or anyone else going through it to that intense of a degree, I think Like Clockwork might be their best work just because of how much Josh was going through personally, and if we get anything in regards to that level of intense emotion, we're in for holding on to the fucking seat. We might just have another dark arts masterpiece on our hands. And for a band that have consistently changed out lineups and have also experienced so much loss and tragedy, including the terrible loss of Mark Lanegan, who I'm hoping possibly recorded something for this album before his untimely passing, there could be a lot of collaborators tucked in there, as was the case with Like Clockwork. We saw everybody from Jake Shear to Nick Oliveri, Mark Lanegan, and even Alex Turner from Arctic Monkeys, Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails. There's been so many people in the fade, if you will, that I'm hoping that even if Villains wasn't your pot of coffee, I think this is the comeback album where we're going to get a heavy dose of rock. Again, that's not to dismiss Villains, because I think it's a fantastic album in its own right, and I still come back to so many of those songs often, from Fortress to Feet Don't Fail Me. I think that Josh Homme has this mastermind that is able to play things and do things with his voice and his guitar that just don't feel like they should be humanly possible.
Dizzy from a dozen twirls, spinning in the daffodils.
The things that man is able to do musically just pulls euphoria out of me like an endless snake trick that you see done at a magic show. And speaking of snakes, that seems to be a major messaging point with the imagery and everything that's going on with the album. Make of that what you will with the whole snake idea. Regardless, this is one of the most talented acts still going in rock today, and I think this song is going to be a big hit at rock radio, in playlists. I think it should perform well enough, and fans have been hungry for a very long time now, so I'll pass the question off to you. Are you as excited as me by Emotion Sickness? Are you hyped based on the album details? Let me know in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching and for sticking around to the end of the video. Be sure to leave a like. I apologize that I haven't been uploading as much to either of my channels recently. I've been going through a lot in terms of depression, mental health, and kind of coming out of a funk and a low point with my own self-confidence, but I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. Thank you again for your patience, and I'll see you soon.